Well, originally I'm from Syria, and the conflict started around 2011, which is actually the beginning of my LLB degree. Being placed in the West, I used to follow TV channels and radio, and there wasn't so much coverage of what's going on in Syria. So I decided, given that I can speak English and Arabic and German, to go down to Syria and report from there what's happening to English and Western media outlets. But then that started having an impact on my education. I started my LLB at Manchester, and I wanted to help the cause that I feel so passionate about in a way that involves my degree. And in one of the lectures, or one of the modules actually, we covered the principles of the laws of war, international humanitarian law. And that's where I thought, wait a second, these principles need to be conveyed to the people on the ground so that we can reduce the suffering of the protected persons, of the civilians, reduce the damage on the infrastructure. And that's where I thought, there are no initiatives doing such a thing in Syria. And although I was second-year law student at the time, it was second-year law module, I felt, okay, this is something worth looking into that will cause a change and at the same time fall within my degree and my career and the passion that I feel strongly about.
Ibrahim came to see us with this very ambitious project of setting up an organization that will provide training in armed conflict. We helped him constitute an advisory board for the organization, of which we became ourselves members, but we brought in other colleagues from other universities.
While we did workshops parallelly, we also wanted to reach to a wider target audience, and that's where we started speaking to broadcast institutions, to local media activists, to TV channels, to radio stations, to start and air these principles or these programs to a wider audience. So, for example, we work on widening humanitarian space by educating NGOs, field staff and humanitarian workers field staff on how to work in a conflict in a way which is respecting of the humanitarian principles which are found in international humanitarian law. So it's important for NGOs to be able to access those in need, and to do so they need to work in a very legally compliant manner, both in terms of domestic law and international law.
SLDP came up with this idea of how to deal with applying legal standards to judicial processes in non-international armed conflict. So they collaborated with the Manchester International Law Centre and with Al-Gel, and we brought experts on international law.
This is something that was started by Ibrahim himself. He was involved in a major enterprise with a huge societal added value. But now we have constituted a team of experts whose ambition is, within a year or two, to come up with a list of simple principles.
There was a lot of legal expert support. They helped us develop the curriculums, they helped us develop the content, that we need to simplify a lot of the legal jargon that we take in our degrees, in our modules, into simple do's and don'ts that the layperson would understand. Someone who may not even read and write needs to understand these humanitarian principles and these complex Geneva Conventions. And that's where the professors at Manchester were supported a lot of legal advice and legal counselling in that sense.
When we first heard about the work that Ibrahim was doing, both myself and all my colleagues here at the firm were quite amazed at the unique and innovative work that Ibrahim was doing, going into Syria, delivering the training that he does. No other organisation, even up to now, is doing anything remotely similar. The potential impact of the work that Ibrahim and his organisation was doing struck us as something that we really wanted to help support and nurture.
Moving into my master's, I was able to integrate everything I learned on a daily basis, even in lectures, in seminars, from the readings that we were assigned, into the kind of work that I was doing. And that made it much easier. You'd think that doing my master's it would be more difficult to balance both, but what's actually happening was that I was integrating my master's into my work and my work into my master's. Students are always interested in converting the things that they learn into the real world. And a lot of things that we learned in Manchester was made to do so, right? It was the knowledge that was easily transferable. There's a lot of things that I felt I was contributing. I was not just another student that would go in a system, then leave. I was being part of this institution.
I don't know how Ibrahim managed to fit it in with his studies, or the other way around. But he has done an amazing job in getting an organisation up and running that now is working not just here, but in other countries, and has got some of the biggest organisations in the field working alongside him.
This group that Ibrahim set up, SLDP, was fascinating, exciting. There's other organisations out there, like Geneva Call, for instance, who engage with non-state armed actors to encourage them to abide by the rule of law, international humanitarian law. This was a Syrian-led group. So it's a group we are happy to be associated with and to encourage and give advice where we need to in terms of what the key problems are with particular armed actors, and let them as on-the-ground advocates and trainers get on with that work, and they're doing a good job at it.
The way I feel about going into a war zone is quite mixed emotions. Call it an emotional roller coaster of a sort. You're happy that you're doing something, you're helping, but you're very sad of what the situation is. You're frightened because there's a lot of bombings and shootings going around you, but at the same time you're proud and you have enough courage to do something like that because you're getting a consequence, you're getting something positive out of it. The most difficult feeling and experience is losing friends. People that you've met in a war zone are friends for life because you question or you feel and you assess their loyalty, their passion, their commitment, their honesty, all within a time frame of a couple of hours of how they react when a bombing happens or how they share the food that they have with other people who are less fortunate. And when I travel back to the UK and these friends pass away, it makes you feel a bit helpless. You feel like you've wished that you spent some more time with them.
He won the Distinguished Student of the Year award for the University of Manchester. Every school nominates one student who might be in the running for that, and he won out of numerous nominees across the university, which is an amazing achievement.
I'd hope to qualify as a barrister while having the Syrian Legal Development Programme on the side, catering for the legal needs that Syria has. I also hope in the future to be able to translate the experience that I got from Syria, addressing the legal needs of Syria, into other conflicts in the region that may require similar attention.
We're very proud of what Ibrahim has achieved during these years at the University of Manchester. Ibrahim was not only a very brilliant student, he also was somebody very generous, somebody ready to give a lot to others and to help students, but also other actors involved in academic debates.